The alarms at Port Helios never stopped screaming. Lights flashed red and white across the wide metal halls. People ran in every direction, shouting in different languages. Smoke drifted from a damaged ceiling panel, and security drones hovered uselessly as the evacuation order repeated again and again. Evan Cole ran with the crowd, his heart pounding. He had been a cargo systems technician, nothing special, just another human working far from Earth. When the attack came, no one explained much. Only one thing mattered now: get on a ship and leave. He followed a group through a side corridor. Signs flickered, half-burned, arrows pointing toward emergency departure bays. Evan didn't question it. He just ran. At the end of the corridor, a large ship waited with its ramp down. It looked strange, sleeker than human ships, with smooth curves instead of hard angles. But panic blurred details. People were already boarding. Evan jumped onto the ramp just as the engines began to hum. The ramp closed behind him. Only then did he slow down. The inside of the ship was quiet, too quiet. No shouting, no loud human voices. The walls glowed softly in blue and violet colors. Symbols moved across transparent panels, written in a language he did not recognize. Evan swallowed. This was not a human ship. He turned around, but the ramp was sealed. A faint vibration ran through the floor as the ship lifted off. Through a curved window, the burning spaceport shrank into the distance. "Great," Evan muttered. "Just great." Footsteps echoed behind him. He turned slowly. 5 tall figures stood at the far end of the corridor. They were clearly not human. Their skin ranged from pale silver to deep blue. Their eyes were large and bright, reflecting light like polished glass. They wore fitted uniforms with sharp insignia at the collar. All of them were female. They stared at Evan in complete silence. Evan raised both hands slowly. Hi, I think I made a mistake." One of them stepped forward. She was taller than the others, her posture straight and commanding. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "You are not on the manifest," she said, her voice calm but cold. She spoke perfect galactic common. Evan blinked. "Yeah, that tracks." The alien women spread out subtly, forming a half-circle around him. Not threatening, but controlled, professional. "This vessel is restricted," the tall one continued. "State your origin and purpose." "My name is Evan Cole, human, cargo tech. Purpose was not dying." The others exchanged brief looks. Evan could feel their attention weighing on him, studying every movement, every breath. "This is a Virelian exploration cruiser," the tall woman said. "No humans were authorized to board." "I know," Evan replied quickly. "I swear I didn't mean to. The signs were damaged. I just followed the crowd." Silence returned. One of the crew members, shorter with darker skin, tilted her head. "He does not carry weapons." "Still a liability," another said. Evan sighed. "Look, if you can drop me off at the nearest station, I'll be out of your way. I won't cause trouble." The tall woman studied him for a long moment. Then she turned slightly, speaking to the others in their native language. The sounds were sharp and musical, impossible for Evan to understand. After a short exchange, she faced him again. "We will decide your fate after we clear the danger zone," she said. "Until then, you will remain under observation." "Observation sounds survivable," Evan said. She did not smile. 2 crew members escorted him to a small chamber. It was clean and bare, with a single seat and a glowing panel on the wall. "Sit," one ordered. Evan sat. The door sealed with a soft hiss. Minutes passed, maybe longer. Evan had no sense of time in the unfamiliar light. He leaned back, breathing slowly, trying to calm his nerves. Then the ship shuddered. Warning tones echoed through the hull. The lights flickered. A sharp voice came over the ship's system, spoken in the alien language. Even without understanding the words, Evan recognized the tone. Something was wrong. The door slid open. The tall captain stood there again, her expression tense. "Remain here," she said, then hesitated. "Unless you possess relevant skills." Evan stood up. "I work cargo systems and emergency logistics. Power flow, structural stress, that kind of thing. Another violent shake hit the ship. A distant explosion echoed. The captain's eyes sharpened. Follow. They moved quickly through the corridors. Crew members ran past them, focused and disciplined. Transparent panels showed space outside, where small, fast-moving ships darted like insects. Pirates. They followed us from the port, the captain said. We are faster, but our aft systems were damaged during launch. A console sparked violently nearby. One crew member cried out as energy surged through the panel. Evan reacted without thinking. He grabbed an emergency insulator from a wall rack and slammed it into place, cutting the feedback loop. The sparks stopped. The crew member stared at him in shock. That coupling was overloaded, Evan said. Your power rerouting is too clean. Humans use messier backups for a reason. The captain watched him closely. You understand our systems. Not really, Evan admitted. But physics is physics. Another impact rocked the ship. The captain made a quick decision. You, she said, pointing at Evan, come with me. They reached the engineering section. The room was filled with glowing structures, energy flowing like light trapped in glass. The air hummed. Our auxiliary drive will fail if we do not stabilize the load, one engineer reported. Evan stepped closer, eyes scanning. You're trying to balance everything evenly. Don't. Dump excess into non-critical systems, overheat a few, save the core. The aliens hesitated. It will damage subsystems, the engineer said. Better damaged than destroyed, Evan replied. The captain paused only a second. Do it. The change was immediate. The ship steadied. The hum softened. Alarms quieted. Moments later, the pirates' weapons fire ceased as the cruiser jumped into faster-than-light travel. Silence filled the room. Slowly, every eye turned toward Evan. You prevented catastrophic failure, the captain said. Her voice was different now. Less cold, more curious. Evan rubbed the back of his neck. Just basic survival instincts. They escorted him back to the observation chamber, but this time the door remained partially open. Hours later, the ship was calm. Repairs were underway. The captain returned alone. You acted without hesitation, she said. You did not panic. I panic internally, Evan said. It's quieter. For the first time, her lips curved slightly. Not quite a smile, but close. You are no longer considered a liability, she said. You are an anomaly. Story of my life. Our people value predictability, she continued. You are not predictable. Evan met her gaze. I just want to go home. She studied him carefully as if measuring something unseen. We will find a solution, she said at last. As she turned to leave, Evan felt an odd sensation in his chest. He had boarded the wrong ship, surrounded by alien women who clearly did not trust him. Yet somehow, against all odds, he had become something else entirely. Not a passenger, not a prisoner. But something the ship did not expect, and now was not ready to let go. Far across the stars, the Virelian cruiser continued its journey, carrying a single human mistake that was already changing everything. The Virelian cruiser moved through deep space in smooth silence. Outside the curved windows, stars stretched into long white lines, then slowly returned to points of light as the ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Inside, the mood had changed. The danger was gone, but tension remained. Evan Cole stood near the observation chamber doorway, watching the crew work. No one told him to sit this time. No one locked the door. That alone felt strange. The alien women moved with calm purpose. They spoke softly to each other, sharing data through glowing wrist panels and wall displays. Their movements were precise, almost graceful. Evan noticed how little wasted motion there was. Everything had a reason. Still, whenever he took a step, eyes followed him. Not hostile. Not afraid, curious. The tall captain approached him again. Her name, he had learned, was Captain Sirla. Her uniform marked her as not only the commander of the ship, but someone of high standing among her people. You will assist in system checks, she said. Under supervision, Evan nodded quickly. Happy to help. She paused, then added, "This is not a reward, it is an evaluation." "Fair," Evan replied. They led him deeper into the ship, into areas he had not seen before. The cruiser was larger than it looked from the outside. Layers of corridors curved around a central core. The walls were alive with shifting light, responding to touch and presence. An engineer named Talaris was assigned to watch him. She had dark blue skin and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Do not touch anything without permission," she warned. "I won't," Evan said. "Probably." She gave him a look. That was not reassuring. They reached a damaged section near the aft systems. Panels had been removed, exposing glowing conduits and energy channels. The damage from the pirate attack was still visible: burn marks, warped surfaces, emergency seals. Talaris gestured. "Observe." Evan leaned forward, studying the layout. "Your system design is elegant," he said honestly, "but it depends too much on perfect conditions." "That is not a flaw," Talaris replied. "It is when things go wrong," Evan said. "Humans assume things will go wrong. That's why our ships look ugly inside." She did not respond, but she watched him more closely now. As hours passed, Evan helped where he could. He suggested small changes: temporary supports, manual overrides, physical redundancies. Nothing revolutionary, just practical. The crew tested his ideas carefully. To their surprise, the systems responded well. "He thinks like damage," one engineer murmured to another. "Yes," came the reply, "he plans for failure." By the end of the cycle, repairs were ahead of schedule. Evan was exhausted, but something else filled him too: a sense of usefulness, of belonging, even if temporary. Captain Sirla called him to the command deck. "You continue to exceed expectations," she said. "I try not to die," Evan answered. "It's motivating." She considered him. "You will remain aboard until we reach neutral space." Evan hesitated. "And then, we will determine appropriate transfer," she said. It was not a promise. Days passed. Evan learned the rhythms of the ship: when the crew rested, when they trained, when they shared quiet meals in the communal area. He was allowed to join them, though always with a little space around him at first. Conversations stopped when he approached, then slowly resumed. Questions came, careful ones. "What is Earth like? Why do humans travel so far from their home? Do you fear being alone among stars?" Evan answered honestly. He spoke of crowded cities and empty deserts, of humans pushing outward because staying still felt like dying, of fear, yes, but also wonder. The crew listened. One evening cycle, the ship detected an anomaly: a drifting wreck, ancient and dark, caught in a weak gravity well. Scans showed no life signs. But the structure was old, older than most known civilizations. The crew debated. "It could be a trap," one said. "It could contain knowledge," another argued. Captain Sirla looked at Evan. "Human, what would your kind do?" Evan thought for a moment. "We'd argue. Then we'd investigate anyway." A faint ripple of amusement passed through the room. They sent a small team, with Evan included. He insisted on it. "If it's dangerous, I'm already the mistake on this ship," he said. "Might as well be useful again." The wreck was cold and silent. Inside, gravity was weak. Dust floated like frozen smoke. Strange symbols covered the walls. As they explored, a hidden defense system activated. Energy fields snapped into place, cutting off escape routes. The alien team froze, analyzing. Evan didn't. He moved quickly, checking physical seams, striking panels with controlled force. One cracked open, revealing an old mechanical core. "This thing predates modern energy locks," Evan said. "It's half mechanical." He jammed a tool into the core and twisted. The field collapsed. They escaped moments before the wreck destabilized and tore itself apart. Back on the cruiser, the reaction was different this time. No cold stares, no distance. The crew spoke openly around him. Some even laughed in his presence. Captain Sirla addressed the ship later that cycle. "The human Evan Cole has demonstrated adaptability, courage, and respect," she said. "He is no longer under simple observation." Evan felt his chest tighten. He was not sure why. Later, he stood alone by a window watching stars drift past. Talaris joined him. "You confuse us," she said quietly. "I confuse myself too," Evan replied. "Our species values order," she continued. "You bring chaos, but also solutions." He smiled faintly. "That's kind of our thing." She studied him for a long moment. "When we reach neutral space, you will leave." "That's the plan," Evan said. Yet as he said it, he realized something unsettling. No one on the ship had asked when they would reach it. And for the first time since boarding the wrong ship, Evan wondered whether leaving would be as simple as he once hoped. The Violian cruiser continued its journey through unfamiliar regions of space. The stars outside looked different now, dimmer and more scattered. Evan Cole had noticed the change days ago, though no one had explained it to him. The ship no longer followed common trade lanes. It moved with quiet purpose, as if avoiding attention. Evan had become part of the daily flow of the ship, not officially, not on any manifest. But when systems needed checking, someone called for him. When a problem appeared that did not match standard solutions, eyes turned his way. He still slept in the observation chamber, but it no longer felt like a cell. The door stayed open. Sometimes crew members passed by just to look in, curious rather than cautious. Captain Sirla watched all of this carefully. She stood on the command deck, hands resting behind her back, eyes on the wide display of space ahead. The ship's course curved gently, bending away from known regions. "Confirmed trajectory," she said. The navigation officer hesitated. "Captain, this route delays arrival at the neutral station." "I am aware," Sirla replied. No further questions were asked. Evan was in engineering when a low vibration ran through the ship. It was not an alarm, not a threat, more like a warning whisper. He felt it through his boots. "That's not normal," he said. Talaris looked up from her console. "It is within tolerance." "Barely," Evan replied. "Something pulling at us." Long-range scans soon confirmed it. A massive gravitational distortion lay ahead, not a natural phenomenon, artificial, ancient. The ship slowed. "This structure predates known records," one science officer reported. "Its energy signature is weak but persistent." "It's a relic," another said, "possibly abandoned." Captain Sirla turned slightly toward Evan. "Your opinion?" Evan frowned at the display. "It's still running. Anything that old and still running usually has a reason." The bridge grew quiet. "We cannot avoid it entirely," the navigator said. "Its pull affects the region." "Then we pass carefully," Sirla ordered. As the ship approached, systems began to behave strangely. Sensors showed false readings. Internal clocks drifted out of sync. Automated corrections failed. "This thing is interfering with predictive systems," an officer said. Evan stepped closer to a panel. "It's confusing your future models," he said. "You rely too much on prediction. Try reacting instead." "That is inefficient," someone argued. "Right now, efficiency is killing you," Evan replied. Sirla raised a hand. "Apply human method." The crew switched to more manual controls, reducing automation. It felt wrong to them, crude, unrefined, but it worked. The ship stabilized and passed the relic without damage. Afterward, something changed. The crew no longer whispered about Evan. They spoke to him directly, asked his thoughts without hesitation. He was invited to planning discussions, strategy meetings, not as a guest, as a voice, and that made some of them uneasy. "Our people do not change quickly," Talaris said one cycle as they worked together. "Yet change follows you," Evan shrugged. "I just do what makes sense to me." "That is what worries us," she replied. The truth came out slowly, piece by piece. The Violians were powerful, advanced, respected, but their society had reached a plateau. Their technology was perfected but rigid, their thinking precise but narrow. For generations, nothing truly new had emerged. Exploration ships like this one were rare now, mostly ceremonial. Evan represented something they had lost: adaptation. When a long-range transmission arrived, tension spread through the ship. The signal came from Virelian High Command. "Status report requested," the communications officer said. Captain Sirla straightened. "Send minimal data. The presence of the human," the officer began. "Is classified," Sirla said sharply. Evan watched from the side, unease growing in his chest. Later, he confronted her in private. "They know about me," he said. "They know of an anomaly," Sirla replied. "Not its extent. And what happens when they do?" She was silent for a long moment. "Our leaders will demand study," she said finally. "Observation, control." Evan's jaw tightened. "I won't be dissected or owned." "I know," Sirla said. That answer worried him more than anything else. The next crisis came without warning. A cascade failure rippled through the ship's power grid, not from damage, from conflict. Two systems attempted to override each other, following perfect logic toward a shared failure. Alarms blared. "Primary core destabilizing," someone shouted. The crew froze for half a second, too long. Evan moved. He rushed to a manual junction, tearing open a sealed panel. Energy flared dangerously close. He rerouted power physically, burning out minor conduits to save the core. The ship shuddered, then steadied. Smoke filled the corridor. When it cleared, Evan was on the floor, breathing hard, hands shaking. Talaris knelt beside him. "You are injured." "Minor," Evan said, though his arms ached. The core was saved. Afterward, the crew gathered in silence, not in fear, in realization. "If he had not been here," one whispered, "we would have lost the ship." Captain Sirla addressed them all. "The human is not a weakness," she said. "He is a catalyst." No one argued. That cycle, Evan lay awake, staring at the soft glow of the ceiling. He thought of Earth, of gravity and rain and noise, of how far away it all felt. He realized something then. The crew did not fear him leaving because they would miss him. They feared what would happen to them without him. When the ship's course adjusted again, Evan noticed. "Captain," he said the next time he saw her, "we're not heading toward neutral space anymore." Sirla met his gaze evenly. "No. Why?" "Because if you leave," she said, "everything returns to how it was." Evan exhaled slowly. "That's not my responsibility." "No," she agreed, "but it is our future." He turned back to the window, watching the stars drift by. For the first time, Evan understood the truth. He had boarded the wrong ship, but now the ship was quietly choosing him. The silence on the Virelian cruiser felt heavier than before. It was not the calm silence of deep space, but the kind that came after a hard truth was spoken and not taken back. Evan Cole stood near the wide observation window, arms crossed, watching distant stars slide past. The ship's course had changed again. This time there was no attempt to hide it. Captain Sirla joined him after several long moments. "You altered the route without discussion," Evan said quietly. "Yes," she replied. "You're avoiding neutral space." "Yes." Evan let out a slow breath. "That wasn't our agreement." Sirla turned to face him fully. "There was no agreement, only intention." "That's not the same thing," Evan said. "No," she admitted, "but intention reveals desire." Evan looked away. He did not like how carefully she spoke now, how measured every word was. It felt like standing on the edge of something dangerous, not because of weapons or enemies, but because of choices. "What happens next?" he asked. "We continue our mission," Sirla said. "Exploration, observation, growth." "And me?" "You remain," she said simply. Evan laughed once, short and humorless. "You're just going to keep me?" "No," she said. "We will ask." He turned sharply. "Now, yes." They moved to a smaller chamber near the command deck. Several senior crew members were already there, Talaris among them. All eyes focused on Evan, but there was no hostility, only intensity. Captain Sirla stood at the center. "Our species does not ask outsiders for guidance," she said. "We do not rely on what we cannot predict. Yet since your arrival, this ship has survived dangers that should have ended us." She paused. "You bring disorder, and from it solutions." Evan shook his head. "I'm not a miracle, I just think differently." "That difference matters," Sirla replied. Talaris stepped forward. Without you, we will return to safety, to certainty, to stagnation, another officer spoke. With you, we face risk, change, growth. Sire met Evan's eyes. We ask you to remain aboard, voluntarily. The word hung in the air. Evan felt every gaze on him, waiting, expecting. No, he said. The room went very still. I didn't come out here to become a symbol, Evan continued. I didn't sign up to fix an entire species. I just wanted to survive and go home. No one interrupted him. You say you're asking, he said, but look at this ship, the course. The way everything has shifted around me, you already decided. Sirela's voice softened. We decided to hope. Evan closed his eyes briefly. Hope doesn't give you the right to trap someone. We have not trapped you, Talaris said. You are free to leave. When? Evan asked. Silence answered him. Before anyone could speak, alarms flared across the ship. Not a pirate attack, not system failure. A transmission. Unidentified vessel approaching, the sensor officer reported. Configuration matches Virely in high command. Evan's stomach tightened. Sirela's posture stiffened. They tracked us. The image on the main display sharpened. A massive Virelian command ship emerged from hyperspace, its presence heavy and undeniable. Signal incoming, communications said. The face that appeared was older, sharper. Authority radiated from her expression. Captain Sirela, the figure said, you are ordered to explain deviations in your mission profile. Sirela stood tall. We encountered anomalies requiring adaptation. And the human, the High Commander asked. We know he is aboard. Evan felt every muscle tense. He is under my protection, Sirela said. The High Commander's eyes narrowed. He is a resource, an opportunity. He will be transferred to our custody. No, Sirela said. The word echoed. This is not a request, the High Commander replied. Your ship will stand down. The transmission ended. The command deck erupted into controlled chaos. They will board us, one officer said. They outrank us, another added. Evan stepped forward. They're not asking me either. Sirela turned to him. We will not hand you over. That's still not my choice, Evan said. They will take you, she said quietly, and they will study you until you break or become useful to their plans. Evan clenched his fists. Then give me a way out. The crew hesitated. Talaris looked at Sirela. There is one option. Sirela nodded slowly. An emergency jump, uncharted vector, high risk. And my chance? Evan asked. You take an escape pod, Sirela said, before we jump. The idea hit him hard, leaving alone, into unknown space. You might not survive, she added. Evan smiled faintly. Sounds familiar. The command ship moved closer. Docking signals activated. There was no more time. As the crew rushed to prepare, Evan stood at the pod bay entrance. The small vessel looked fragile compared to the vastness outside. Sirela approached him one last time. You were right, she said. We wanted you to stay, not because we own you, but because you changed us. Evan met her gaze. Change shouldn't come from a cage, she inclined her head. No, the deck shook, docking clamps engaged. Go, she said. Evan hesitated. What happens to you? We face them, Sirela replied. As we are now, not as we were. He nodded once, then stepped into the pod. The hatch sealed. As the pod launched, Evan watched the cruiser shrink behind him. Moments later, space twisted violently as the ship jumped away, vanishing from sensors. The command ship loomed briefly, then turned, unable to follow. Evan drifted alone. His pod systems were minimal, oxygen stable, navigation limited, no clear destination. Yet for the first time in days, the choice was his. He floated in silence, thinking of the alien women who had changed course for him, of a ship that had almost become something like home. A soft indicator blinked. A new signal, not Virelian, not hostile, unknown. Evan stared at it, heart steady. Whatever came next, it would be on his terms. And somewhere far away, a Virelian cruiser continued forward, changed forever by one human who refused to be owned, but could not stop inspiring those who chose to follow him. Evan Cole floated quietly in the escape pod, staring at the stars streaking past. The small vessel was simple, just enough to keep him alive and let him move. Every beep, every soft hum reminded him he was alone, yet free. For the first time in a long while, the choice was entirely his, but he could not stop thinking about the cruiser he had left behind. The Virelian ship, sleek and elegant, carrying Captain Sirla and her crew, all changed because of him. That ship had been more than metal and energy. It had become a place of possibility, of growth, a reflection of what a single human mind could bring to a species set in perfection. Evan wondered if they would ever forgive him for leaving. Not because he had defied orders, but because he had reminded them what it meant to adapt. The thought made him smile faintly. His pod's sensors pinged suddenly. A small light blinked on the console, an unidentified ship approaching. Its design was alien but unlike anything he had seen. Sleek, almost organic, moving gracefully through the void. It slowed as it drew near and a soft message appeared on his display. Human presence detected. You are not to be harmed. Evan's heart skipped. He didn't recognize the language at first, but the translation module worked quickly. The voice was calm, almost inviting. Curiosity outweighed fear and he accepted the open channel. "Who are you?" he asked cautiously. "You are expected," the voice replied. "Come aboard. Your actions have been noted." The pod's hatch opened automatically as the larger ship pulled alongside, gentle magnetic locks connecting the two vessels. Evan took a deep breath and stepped inside. The interior was unlike the Virelian cruiser. Colors flowed softly, walls pulsating lightly as if breathing. Shapes shifted subtly, adapting to him. He felt no hostility, only intelligence, a quiet, observing presence. As he moved, a figure approached. Not humanoid exactly, but capable of assuming a form he could relate to, tall, elegant, and unmistakably intelligent. "I am Arilla," the figure said. "We have monitored your journey. Your presence has caused unexpected change in others. This is rare." Evan frowned. "Change in others?" "Yes," Arilla said. "You influence species, systems, even thought patterns. That which adapts through you becomes stronger." Evan blinked. "I didn't do anything on purpose. I was just me." Arilla tilted slightly. "Yet that is enough." He felt a strange warmth, not emotional exactly, but close enough. "So, what now? Are you here to recruit me, study me, eat me?" A faint shimmer passed over Arilla, almost a laugh. "None of those. We wish to offer choice. You may return to Earth or you may join us. Help us explore, grow, and if you wish, continue to inspire." Evan's mind raced. Return to Earth was tempting. Familiar cities, gravity, rain, and noise. Yet he knew something deep inside. He had touched something rare aboard the Virelian cruiser. He had proven humans could think differently, could adapt, and could survive against impossible odds. To walk away now felt incomplete. He took a slow breath. "I want to stay, but I don't want to be a pawn." "You will not be," Arilla said. "Your mind is free. Your choices remain yours." Evan nodded. "Then I'm in." The larger ship shifted slightly as if approving his decision. The corridors adapted to him, forming spaces that felt natural, welcoming. Evan realized for the first time that space could feel like home, even far from Earth. And home did not need to be a place. It could be an idea, a purpose. Back aboard the Virelian cruiser, the effects of his departure were already evident. Captain Sirla walked the command deck, the crew at work, but something had changed. No longer did the ship feel rigid, precise, and limited. It was alive in a way, breathing with possibility. Plans were being made, new courses charted. Decisions were no longer solely about order, they included risk, innovation, and adaptation. Talaris approached the captain. "He left," she said quietly. "And yet everything feels different, as if he is still here." Sirla nodded, her eyes scanning the stars ahead. "He is here. Not physically, but his influence remains. We cannot ignore it." She turned to the officers around her. "Prepare for long-range exploration. No shortcuts, no assumptions. We will proceed as we have never proceeded before. A ripple of energy seemed to move through the ship, subtle but unmistakable. The crew felt it, the thrill of stepping beyond their limitations, beyond their expected patterns. Meanwhile, Evan adapted to his new surroundings. Arilla guided him through systems that defied human comprehension, yet every time he approached a problem with human logic, innovation, or simple trial and error, he made progress. The ship, or perhaps the intelligence of it, responded, learning from him as he learned from it. He was no longer a single human among aliens. He was the spark that connected minds, species, and ideas. Days turned into weeks. Evan's confidence grew. He devised solutions that the ship had never considered, helped map regions previously thought unreachable, and even prevented disasters that could have destroyed entire exploration modules. He saw patterns others missed, opportunities that seemed hidden in plain sight. And every time he remembered the Virelian cruiser, the captain, Talaris, and the crew he had left behind. They had trusted him, relied on him, even when he was a mistake, even when everything suggested he didn't belong. One cycle, Arilla approached him in the main observation chamber. "Do you miss them?" the being asked. Evan looked at the distant stars visible through the curved window. "Yes," he said honestly, "but they understand now. They know humans can do more than expected." Arilla's form shimmered lightly. "And you know you can do more than you imagined." Evan smiled faintly. "Yeah, I guess I do." A warning signal blinked across the console. A massive asteroid field lay ahead, dense and unpredictable. The ship's sensors could barely track the fast-moving debris. Evan's heart raced. "We go through it?" he asked. Arilla's form tilted slightly. "You will decide how," he grinned. "Then let's do it my way." Using a mix of instinct, quick calculation, and improvisation, Evan guided the ship through the asteroid field. The larger ship responded to his commands almost intuitively, avoiding collision after collision. Crew from different modules observed from remote stations, silent and amazed. Where sensors predicted failure, Evan improvised survival. Where calculations suggested risk, he balanced them with adaptability. By the end, the asteroid field was behind them, not a scratch on the ship. The crew erupted in muted celebration, recognizing the human mind's unique capacity to act where others could only predict. Even Arilla shimmered in acknowledgement. "You inspire change," the being said softly. "Your species is remarkable." Evan leaned back, exhausted, yet exhilarated. For the first time, he realized something profound. Humanity's strength was not just in survival or weapons or numbers. It was in the ability to think differently, to adapt, and to connect. Even a single human could change the course of events, inspire others, and push limits far beyond what seemed possible. Later, in quiet moments, he thought of the Virelian cruiser. Captain Sirla had been right. He had changed them, and in turn they had changed him. He had gone on the wrong ship, met alien women who challenged everything he knew, and survived when no one expected him to. But he had also reminded them, and now himself, that being human was about more than instinct. It was about courage, imagination, and refusing to be defined by limits. Evan stood at the observation window one last time as the ship adjusted course. Far ahead, new stars twinkled. Planets that no human had ever seen rotated silently in the void. He felt a sense of purpose he had never known. The Virelian cruiser, back in distant space, charted new paths of exploration, forever changed by one human's presence. And Evan, aboard the new ship with Arilla, would continue to explore, adapt, and inspire, proof that humanity's spark could illuminate even the darkest reaches of space. As the pod-like corridors pulsed with light around him, Evan smiled. He had gone where he did not belong. He had made a difference, and now the galaxy was a little bigger, a little stranger, and a little more alive because of one human who refused to leave quietly. In the endless stars, he was no longer a mistake. He was a bridge, a catalyst. And humanity at its finest had left its mark. And somewhere far behind him, the Virelian cruiser carried the memory of that spark, ready to meet the next challenge, changed, strengthened, and alive.